The British have come to smash Napoleon at battle and send him back to Paris. Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Napoleonic Total War 3 online battle. Today we have an epic 4 vs 4 which is shaping up to be one hell of a engagement. First off, we'll take a look at this map as we have a force of Prussian forces which are going to be taking this left-hand side and the British are going to be taking the right-hand side. So we have 2 English corps or British corps and 2 Prussian corps in this battle. Over on the other side, we can see some of the French starting to emerge from the woodland. Again, they're going to be scattered across this area of the battlefield and only coming into sight when they get into vision of the British and Prussians. Taking straight away a big look at the map to kind of, maybe get a little bit of a hint of how the battle is going to go. We can see at the back the British and Prussians, the coalition forces I'll call them from now on, really have the advantage from the map because they have all of these victory points back here. What they have just, simply 6 back here and then another 3 in the center, which they'll most likely arrive to first. Meaning the French have to be aggressive on this map. The French have to push the coalition forces back and try and secure themselves to these positions, whereas the Prussians and the British can kind of maybe be a little bit slower and look to simply go ahead and, dig in and prepare to withstand the oncoming French. We do start to see a bit of a cavalry engagement already kicking off as both sides send out their cavalry to go and scout and see what the enemy are doing and maneuvering. And I also did learn something since the last replay. I kind of tend to pick stuff up with this Napoleonic Total War 3 mod every single time I do a replay. I have now found out that the numbers next to the C in the cavalry unit, which is at the end of the name of it in the brackets, you can see that it says C7. That basically goes ahead and determines or tells you the speed of the unit itself. I believe cavalry can go up to C8, which is the fastest horse. C7 is obviously pretty goddamn fast. It's up there. Whereas if we find maybe one of the heavier British cavalry or maybe one of the heavy French cavalry, yeah, you can see some dragoons right here which are C5, so they're kind of more of a, an average speed horse, but maybe they're a bit heavier. And then I'm sure the British will have some pretty heavy cavalry somewhere, which will be, yeah, look at this. So these are infantry, sorry. And it's the same for infantry. I believe infantry goes up to 6. I'm not so sure about skirmishers, what they can go up to, but I know infantry can go up to like speeds 5 and 6. And so again, like these L4, which stands for line infantry, they're going to be more of your run-of-the-mill infantry, and then you're going to have other units which are going to be faster. Again, over here you have some light foot, which are much faster, and that's going to allow you to use them on the flanks and go ahead and outmaneuver your opponent, whereas in the center, I guess you want more of your methodical and slow units. So we are actually getting a bit of a push-up here. We have some of the Portuguese first light line infantry here, who are going to be leading the charge for the British and scaring off some of the cavalry, reforming as there is a bit of a back and forth. So I think this is probably the first Napoleonic Total War battle that hasn't had a huge cavalry engagement right off the bat. Normally people are quite generous of throwing their cavalry into the enemy as fast as they can. But this one, it seems like people are being a bit more cautious, not looking to give any advantage to either person. Obviously, these roads are going to be huge parts, huge contention points because they are making your units maneuver a lot faster, so you can really out-position your opponent. And we can see both the French and the British using this, and it's really going to be telling to see who goes ahead and forms up first. Gets the first couple volleys. Maybe the French will look to use this road a little bit more effectively. The French look so goddamn clean as they go ahead and just, again, try and form up. I think they're going to fall back and form up and let the British do exactly the same. We have some of these sappers on the left-hand flank. I have no idea what these sappers do. I imagine maybe throw grenades. We'll have to find out what these guys can do. It'll be interesting. They're also from the USA as well, which is pretty nice. It says there in the brackets. So if we take a nice little overview of the battlefield as we start this one off, hopefully you guys can see, probably be a little bit closer, something like that. We can see that the British have formed up. They've gone ahead and pushed their men or their cavalry into this woodland to kind of scare off any of the French, and they're trying to catch a few of these horses over here. But that is a C6 cavalry unit, so it's going to be pretty fast, but it's looking like it's going to try and turn on the British as there is faster cavalry here, and it sees that it can't simply run away, so it's going to basically just try and charge them off. It seems like the French are going heavy down this road. They have, I think, 2 of their corps here, maybe even a 3rd corps, just pushing down this road right now. A lot of their units are set up there. More British cavalry as the French cavalry comes to warn them off. And the British have now formed up in battle columns right now, in battle line, looking to start repelling this French army. There's also a lot of artillery going off as well. You can see the artillery rounds landing there. I'm not sure who's shooting, probably the British right now. So I know the sappers can obviously make these stakes, but can we just make a lot of these? Be interested to find out. We also actually have a cavalry engagement as the British and French do clash in against one another. You can hear the screaming, and it looks like both sides are going to trade, which is kind of unfortunate for the British considering they had 2 units of horse there. I mean, what did they lose though? Again, I'm not really super familiar with the units. I'm still learning, so I don't know if that was a worthwhile trade, but we are going to be getting another French unit following up and charging in against the British, and they're going to be counter-charging. The French seem to have went ahead and pushed heavily on this right-hand side, and I imagine they're going to be able to completely surround this British horse right here, which has no real escape. And cavalry is extremely important in this mod, because not only does it help you scout, it's a great way just to put so much pressure on and help, you know, cause mass routes in the enemy lines. Because something to note is not every unit can form square in Napoleonic Total War 3. So because of that, you're going to see, you know, some units like, you know, these guys can, because you can see the square next to their name. But I'm sure I'll find a unit. Oh, no, actually, this entire British corps here can actually form line, which is pretty useful for them. And these guys are now positioning themselves, looking to start duking it off with the French, making their lines, I think, a little bit longer so they can take on this entire French corps. I mean, it looks like there's 2 French corps here, but there is also a British reinforcement line here as well, aiding them. The Prussians, with the support of some of the British, are now forming up as well as the French do come into view. I believe the coalition artillery is starting to hit their shots off onto the French, giving them a bit of a hard time to form up. And this looks like heavier. These are 6-pounders, so these aren't, you know, nothing. They're not like super heavy, but they'll do the job. The French are trying to get some good skirmisher shots off as they're using this like marshland really, really effectively. The British obviously can't cross this, so the French are just using these Voltigeurs, which are going to be great shooters, and just sniping away and picking off a few of the British. And you can see quite a few of them dropping there as they run away. Look at them just literally leg it. They are getting the hell out of there. As some of the British horse turns up, the King's German Legion Light Dragoons. They're C8, so they're extremely fast. And the French are going to quickly come in to support that and warn off that cavalry. Over on this side, has any more cavalry really dived in? It doesn't look like it, as the other British corps has now made its way round, looking to outflank the French corps that is set up here. However, the French are maneuvering here with some L4 infantry. And now we get a proper line-on-line action now. The British are going to be falling back, seeing that there are quite a few French regiments in front of them. Taking a few casualties, but it's obviously better to be you know, take a few casualties but be in a better position than overcommit, and the French are going to be pushing forward. So there's just so many more guns here by the looks of it for the French, but the British are just like, okay, we need to fall back, we need to meet up with the corps coming in from the left hand side. We'll use the map for, you know, for a vantage point. You want to kind of, you know, just have a line back here, let this corps come in, take the French on at the side, and then go ahead and recommit to this fight, which I think is a smart decision. We're also seeing a big push down here. The French are using this road extremely aggressively, and they're just trying to sprint down here and catch the Prussians completely off guard on the left-hand side of the battlefield. We have some pretty nice infantry here as well. They're gonna, you know, on shoulder their muskets and give them a volley, or are they just not in range? Seems like they are. We're also getting a French cavalry charge here on this unsuspecting unit of musketeers, which does not have square. They're going to be able to charge in there. But after the initial, you know, hit, the Prussian infantry are going to be able to start pushing back the French. And these cavalry charges, if you're not, you know, if you haven't played this game a ton, it could kind of go either way. And it looks like the French cavalry are going to be running. If the Prussians could also turn around and get a volley off in their back, that'd be great. But it does look like they are going to simply be just exchanging a few casualties. We do have some Prussian skirmishers over on this right-hand side. Again, just trying to hold this woodland down as much as possible. I really like this bold move, though, as the entire Prussian line starts to open up. I really, really do like this aggressive move by the French, though. Really trying to cut down this right flank and cede control completely of the road over to themselves. They can now use this road extremely effectively to transport troops further down, and then also, you know, completely cut off the retreat of any of these Prussian units, which, again, if they can just clean up this side of the battlefield, they can then use this road and basically just get behind the entire British and Prussian army. So if this is successful, I think we'll see a lot of dead coalition soldiers. However, it seems like the Prussians have a lot of men here, like a lot of regiments ready to fight, especially in the center. Again, as a consequence of putting as many French regiments over on this right-hand side as they have, they've left gaps in their line. There also seems to be a lot of French cavalry over here, rather whereas the British cavalry is kind of just sitting around in the center here. But again, as we said in the beginning of this battle, the map definitely focuses on the coalition forces being the defenders in this one. Oh, one of the generals have gone down on this right-hand side. Whoa, what the hell happened here? The British dived in and killed one of the French command units. Why was he all the way back here? That must be catastrophic for morale of the French, as we start to get this British corps coming in on the side of the French. Now should be the time the British push. They want to be very, very careful because they're going to leave themselves extremely vulnerable to these 5 French regiments here. And we're about to get another 4 as well. So they need to be careful not to overcommit to this. But if they go ahead and get support by the central units right here, they could be extremely well off. Again, we'll jump over to the Prussian-French side as the musket firing is getting extremely intense. Extremely intense now as they are really duking it out. Some musketeers here. Both sides losing quite a lot of men in this missile off. There's also a bit of French cavalry here, which is always great to do. They're going to be getting a nice charge off on these skirmishers who have no chance of surviving this fight. And look at all that French cavalry moving over. The Prussians are going to meet them. But yeah, quickly we're going to see, you know, these musketeers being hit. The musketeers can't form square. They have not been trained for it. However, the Prussian cavalry is coming in and they're going to be trying to salvage this. And I think this fight is going to determine this flank really heavily. It seems like the Prussians have kind of come out on top with their dragoons here, routing back the lighter hussars of the French. That's going to be pretty important because now the Prussians have cavalry dominance on this right-hand side. I mean, there's still plenty of cavalry in the center. Oh, this is really nice here as well. The French cavalry pushed through the spikes set up by the Prussians to hit the Prussian cavalry, the Prussian artillery even. It's a really smart move. And now they're quickly going to come through with another couple units of cavalry. Again, losing horses to these spikes, but if they can wipe out the artillery, they can cause mayhem in the back, then maybe it's completely worth it to do so. You can see a lot of these horses going down. Another general going down. Where? Oh, this was a French general as well. Oh my god, that is not good. That was a bit reckless there by the French. They throw their generals into spikes. That's going to hurt their morale. It looks, however, though, at least on this right-hand side, the French are just going completely crazy. They are getting as close as they can to these Prussian regiments. They really want to engage them. They're looking like they're going to go for a full-out melee, which might not be a good idea, considering they have a huge disadvantage in morale after losing their general. And they're just going to straight up charge into the Prussian line, who's going to completely lick their lips and accept this. Take a look at it. The Prussian melee is now popping off. I mean, they're going to be more than happy about this. But it does also buy the French some time to advance forward. But again, I feel like these Prussian regiments are just, you know, more enough than disciplined enough to withstand this. And in Napoleonic Total War 3, it's extremely brutal to charge. But a lot of the time, yeah, you can see a lot of these French regiments are now simply fleeing. However, in the center, we do have some grenadiers moving in. We should double check that if they were grenadiers. Yeah, that was a grenadier charge, which was probably why it was happening. I should have checked that before, you know, dismaying the strategy. Obviously, grenadiers are trained in hand-to-hand combat. They're much more effective. We're going to be getting some British cavalry in here to do, but even then, even grenadiers struggled there. It was a nice maneuver. It could have tried to have broken the Prussian center there effectively. However, I think the fact that there wasn't enough covering fire and there wasn't enough like other units distracting these central units to make that work, I feel like it was very ballsy, especially after just losing the general as well. However, the superior French regiments over on this right-hand side are breaking. Even after winning the cavalry engagement, there's just a lot of French regiments here. And again, that entire push in the center could have been to stop any regiments coming over and reinforcing this left-hand side. Because now we can start to see that the French have basically completely enveloped this Prussian line, and they're soon to go ahead and put even more pressure on them. Yeah, this is going to be very good, but I want to quickly take a look over on the other side, as this has developed quite heavily as the British Corps has now come in to meet up with its brother, and lines have started to form. Getting some grenadiers here in the center, and a lot of line as well. So answer me this as well. Generally, are the slower infantry better shooters? Or is it just, you know, kind of varies from, you know, the Fusiliers? I know obviously Fusiliers are better. But for those of you who play this mod regularly, generally do the better, more elite units tend to be slower? Like, is that a quick, easy way to see if they are like a super elite unit? Or do I just have to learn the hard way? I'd be interested to find out as well. That's a beautiful volley there by the King's German Legion. We are going to be getting a cavalry charge here into the back of this line infantry. Very, very nice. They're going to be pushing. That's like the push they needed to charge forward. And then we're going to be getting some more of the Portuguese units charging in as well, sandwiching this French left flank and routing them. Yeah, that was just huge shock, and the French have broken. They will not stand, Sharp. They will not stand. The French camels, though, are coming over to reinforce and scare off the horse, but the horse is long gone. The German Legion, the Portuguese, sorry, are reforming, and that's going to open up a big gap in the French line. We are seeing a few more of these light infantrymen or line infantry moving over. We've got some faster ones back here as well. They're going to be moving over to supplement this left flank, which it looks like the light infantry are doing a great job at cleaning up against the Spanish infantry that are supporting the British in this engagement. Their superior shooting skill is just a bit too much, especially when they're supported by the French cavalry as well. Not too bad. But we do have a lot of British cannon over the river, and they're going to be constantly shelling this entire position. I mean, just look at that. That is like something from a movie right there, besides the annoying box there. But I mean, just, yeah, that's why this game is just amazing. Besides as well, the entire, like, the shuttering there of the things. But yeah, we've got some heavy British cannon here. Some 6-pounders and then some 4-pounders. That's not bad. How's the French line? So it looks like the Prussians have kind of subdued the French, but only for a time being. There's, what, 5 French regiments here taking on 1 Prussian regiment now. So it's only a matter of time until these guys completely cave in. And they can obviously use this road to their advantage. But it seems like the French don't have any cavalry on this right-hand side. So because of that, the Prussians are going to be able to slow up this French advance, and they're going to have to be cautious. Prussians are going to be retreating back, falling back after this engagement, as we do have more of a French regiment maneuvering over. These guys are extremely slow, though. Extremely slow. These guys are only L2, which is the second slowest that they can be. So the Prussians probably see this coming, but they're still going to be standing here to fight. This could be very, very deadly. Maybe we'll see a nice little push here by these infantry in the center, these musketeers. And we do indeed see that. They're going to be trying to meet these guys. So if the French infantry want to shoot the Prussians in the back, they're also going to get shot in the back as well. The British are being quite aggressive over here on this left-hand side. They've got some of these King German Legion, which look like light infantry, and a regiment of grenadiers. So I imagine this is probably a pretty good strategy in Napoleonic Total War 3, is using a unit of light infantry, like the King German Legion is being used right now, or light foot, to basically just screen for a unit of grenadiers. So have a fast unit in front of your grenadiers to basically take the initial musket volley, and then have the grenadiers getting stuck in afterwards. I imagine that, you know, it's probably a pretty good strategy. It managed to, obviously they lost the unit of King German Legion, but the grenadiers came out basically unscathed. They scared off a unit of this French infantry, and now it'll open up the flank quite nicely. Oh my god, look at the difference here as well in the battle. If we take a big bird's eye view here, because I want to see this from like up here, I mean, just look at this. Look at the two corps on either side. The Prussians are getting hit in, but the British have kind of brought the French forward. And that's leaving some big gaps in the French line. If, you know, for example, if the Prussian and British line wanted to completely retreat, I don't think they want to because it looks like they're really starting to push in and break the French backwards. They could easily, you know, kind of let the Prussians deal with this and then bring the British back in the back of the French and force them, you know, to retreat. Would not be a huge surprise. Oh, look at this. We even have some cannon back here. I imagine the British cannon has been taken out. Some of the 85th foot here. Some more of the 49th foot, 27th foot. So many cool British units. The nice thing is as well, I can actually tell, you know, what unit is what when I read the British names because they're in English, so it's a little bit easier. Some cannon set up in the line. This is always a really good strategy to do because it basically allows you to hammer away. Cause cannons to shot if they get too close and try and charge you. We're going to get these cannons to shoot. What are these as well? These are going to be some 6-pounders again, so some pretty decent medium artillery. Got some German foot here as well. Some Highlanders here to defend this. The artillery is going to find its place. They're going to shoot. They have like a perfect shot. They're being told to hold fire right now. Maybe they're waiting to be pushed up or something. Are they going to shoot when I look away? Probably going to shoot as soon as I look away. But again, the French are going to be retreating. It seems like they've seen that their left flank is starting to crumble. However, we do have a huge assault right here. The French are just using their superior regiments. You know, they have a lot of numbers over on this right-hand side, with a bit of cavalry still left remaining as well. I think the Prussian cavalry is retreated, or maybe got beaten by the French. But here we go. This Prussian right-hand side is completely lost. They were just dealing with too many numbers. They're going to try and take down as many of these French as they can, but as you can see, look at that. The French are coming in very, very fast. Take them out as they do shoot, though. Maybe try and whittle their numbers down, make them think twice before going up here. But I assume what we're going to see is the Prussians completely folding back in. The British trying to deal with this because they can't really retreat it. Otherwise, the Prussians will be completely slaughtered. We're only getting some British cavalry coming in as well, looking to mop up this disorganized French line. Or going after the cavalry, it's not a bad idea. If they can take out the cavalry, then maybe they'll stand a chance and just help out the other two British corps, which are fighting heavily over on that other side. Looks like they are winning this battle. Morale-wise, at least, seeming like it's coming out on top for the cavalry. And I think morale seems to be the most important call. Another general going down. Wow, the French generals. That's 3 French generals that have been slain. Seems like poor command right now. It's going to hurt the disorganization of the French army with their morale. And they immediately jump onto this unit of French infantry who could form square, but they didn't get a chance to. And the British cavalry is going to continue to move on. And I guess maybe go after this cannon. The cannon is being supported by a unit of infantry, but these guys aren't exactly, they can't form square. So the British cavalry is going to be heading straight for them. I imagine they're going to be trying to get in front of the artillery to go ahead and give a volley on this cavalry. There's only a thin line of them. The charge of the light brigade, and they turn at the last second to try and get out of there. They do not want to charge on this line head on. They are pretty prepared for them. And that French cannon is going to stay alive for a little bit longer. So even though the Prussians have been, the Prussians have kind of brought it back. A few of these, disorganized regiments have managed to stand, and they're managing to overwhelm the French positions because the French don't have any commanders now to really give them huge orders. Over on this left-hand side, I feel like we've kind of neglected this left-hand side, but it seems like the British are just in full-on aggressive mode. They've tasted blood. They've seen that the French commanders have gone down, and now they want to win themselves some eagles. So they are moving in with the support of their cavalry. I imagine we'll have some light foot in here, and then also some grenadiers probably scattered around the battlefield. No grenadiers, just all line infantry. But we're going to be getting a heavy melee. I always hate that it lags so much when you do that. Very, very brutal fighting going on right now. The British are just in hot pursuit. They do not want to give the French any time to rest. And with the support of the Prussians in the center, they can envelop this, break these guys, and then turn around and basically stop any retreat the French have. If these French corps pushed up too far, and now there's no way to link up with their reinforcements. We are going to be getting a unit of light infantry, though, charging into this house, which is currently being occupied by some King German Legion by the looks of it. They're going to be trying to storm this house, but I don't think it's going to be going particularly well for them. I imagine the British have that. Yeah, King German Legion, light foot. And the French are just in a full-on retreat. I'm so surprised they got beaten back over here. They didn't necessarily get completely beaten, because they still have like 4 regiments here, and the Prussians have 4 regiments. But it seemed like that was just going so well for the French. But then all of a sudden, I imagine we missed some cavalry maneuvers, which really just put the pressure on the French, and they just couldn't handle it after losing their general. As the British cavalry, I think the British cavalry have finally got them cannons. Yeah, they have. And now they're also duking it out with this French regiment. I mean, they need to kind of get out of here quick. Yeah, they try to fall back and they just can't. The cavalry is going to pursue them. We're getting more Prussian cavalry almost being thrown away here just to slow up the French regiments so that the Prussians can get into range. Which, again, is not a bad idea, but it's also extremely effective. You know, again, a lot of these units can't form squares, so this cavalry is just going to be so deadly. Over on this side, the French are trying to put up some last-ditched effort. They have a few regiments still standing. But soon, there will not be much left. The British regiments to the other side of the battlefield are ready to receive them. And there are just so many more guns left remaining for the British. There's also a lot of horse as well. French have still managed to cause some bit of a nice line, but it's only a matter of time until they're completely overwhelmed. I mean, just look at how many more regiments already. They're starting to get shot in the side a little bit. The cannon has come in. And I think this was a really nice move by the British, using the map to their advantage and using these cannons to really hammer in the French and help their other allied corps across the river. I mean, just look at how much white is on this map of all the French retreating back. There's still plenty back over here. There's a lot of Prussians. And it seemed like the Prussians really took the headache of the battle itself. The French go for one last all-out charge for the Emperor. But being repelled. I think 1 or 2 regiments managed to get in. But even on the charge, they get in there and they are just done for. The British are using every part of their musket to repel them. The French have broken this day. The coalition has been victorious. They've even formed up this nice little kill box right there. And it seems like Napoleon is going back to Paris with his tail between his legs. The coalition has been victorious. So a big shout out to HRE Bullet. He was the guy who sent this in and gave me some advice on the game, letting me know a few things that maybe I got wrong in previous replays. I appreciate that. Obviously, this game is extremely complex, and you know, I appreciate those of you who enjoy the Napoleonic battles. And you know, I am slowly learning. I'll pick things up here and there and hopefully get better and better and understand the strategy a bit more. But I am also just looking for a cool replay, which, you know, looks cool as well, not necessarily always have to be so focused on the strategy itself, but it's always very nice to see the exciting maneuvers and stuff, which we don't really get to see from other games too much in Total War. So let's take a look at kills. Anyone else really rack up much? So it looks like it seems like this is the case. Is our generals just really strong in NTW3? Because a lot of the time I see these named characters, these generals, as getting like a lot of kills. So are they generally just like heavy horse? I guess they would be, right, to protect the general and stuff. But even still, that's pretty crazy. We have some of this other horse as well getting 154 kills, and then some infantry as well racking up a nice amount of kills. Not too bad whatsoever. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. If you want to see more Napoleonic Total War free online battles on the channel, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.